Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. What week we've had, huh? I've gotten a lot of questions. And so we're going to go as fast as we can, going through everything, including a remote view that I did the last couple of days. But before we do that, I'm going to take 2 minutes to let everybody go and get tea. If you want to get tea or coffee, if you want to join me, or you can stick around if you want to say hello to me, because as is my way, I'm going to spend a couple minutes at the beginning of this giving gratitude to everybody who has decided to spend this hour with me. So if that's not your cup of tea, you can go and make yourself a cup of tea. You are welcome. Hello, Lori, Sue, Craig, and Clamped. Thank you for being the first person to say hello. Gretchen, Jackim Zook. Oh, I like that. Hello. Pierre Walker is here. Hello, Aletha. Marie Martel, good to see you. Teresa Horsley, hello. Christy Price is here. Hello, hello. Patricia Clough, good to see you, Patricia. Pierre Walker is in the house. Jean Valenti. C.T. Hebling, hello. Buffy, 2222. You're driving and listening. I would rather you not do that. Buffy, I would rather you just focus on the road. Bad boy Rob. Still my man, bad boy Rob. Grace is Glory. Hello, good to see you again. William Shupson, I believe have I said hi to you yet? Hello again. Nikki T, Holly W is in the house. Lacey Cole 3, Jeannie Valenti, Francis Young, beautiful name. Marceline, hello, hello. And there's a lot of other great people here who hopefully we'll be able to say hello to as we continue. I also want to give a special shout out to Suzanne Faultier for her donation of $10 to support the channel. Thank you for that. All right, so I have a couple things going on. You know, these are really bizarre times we live in because I don't think any other president historically would be able to get away with what this president is getting away with. Hello, Mila. Do you want to come over here? She's playing with a box. So I was meditating about what the president did and the strong economic lobby that's behind the GOP. I think something like 87%. Yes, welcome. Good to see you. 87% of Goldman Sachs said that they believed he would be reelected. Honey, you've got a lot of dirt on you. So I think it's because there's just so much economic support of this president. And so it looks like Mitch McConnell holds the spigot of money. And if people didn't vote collectively in a group, he was going to, yes, honey, we're live right now. What do you want to do? You want to play is what you want to do. Oh, you've got some dust. You rolled around in dust. Yes. Honey, I need you to. Yes, I know. Say hi to everybody. So basically, what came out was that they were basically threatening not to financially support and to shun anybody that didn't go along with it. But they let, honey, to choose. I can't play right now. She wants to play. Yes, I know. Here, you want to play with Flopsy? No? There you go. Here's Flopsy. There you go. Here's your friend. There you go. So these are strange times we live in, and did a remote viewing about it. Like, is there any way that we can beat this president? Because he's got a lot of money behind his campaign. He's got a lot of power behind his campaign. Hello, Mila. I'm sorry. We're having Mila is, she wants us to focus on her. She's going to nap right here. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So I did a remote to try and figure out what we have to do in order to win this election, because I think that every president has been reelected since Carter, right? So the purpose of the remote viewing I did a couple of days ago was to just determine if what we have to do. I'm sorry, I'm having real cat. I can't. Yes, what do you like? What would you like? Here. Want some water? Here you go. Okay, honey, I need you to come down. Here, take your water right here. You can have my water. You want my water? Okay. I'm sorry. So back to the remote. It looks like what they're going to try and do is, again, the same tactic they did last time, which is divide and conquer. If we keep focusing on Russia and corruption, it's fine if we do that, but that's not going to win the election, because what it looked like when you went into the remote is that people were just wanting. She does want to play, Michelle, yes. What people want is they want the candidates to talk more about local issues. This is something that came up when you went over the energy, whether the energy was Iowa or if the energy was Arizona or New Mexico. The main issue for people was whether or not people were talking about the local issues, how this president has not kept his promises, because his campaign is all about how he kept his promises. So I'm gonna have to change this light in my face. I've got this, I've got a cat, it happens. Okay. And there goes the water. It's one of those days. So candidates need to be focusing on sticking with the issues, and specifically the issues that affect people on a local level. That was one of the ways that we win. So if the president hasn't fulfilled his promises on a local level, that needs to be honed in. The second thing that they're going to try and do is they're going to try and get us to pick somebody that they think won't be voted for in Florida or in some of the more conservative states. So they might leave somebody like Bernie alone and then do what they did last time, which is to make it out like the Democratic Party has betrayed Bernie, and then try and get another fight on the floor of the Democratic convention. They've done that several times where we have, it's become cannibalism, where people are screaming about Jill Stein and eat yourselves. And then people like Don Jr. can sit back and laugh their heads off at the stupid Democrats eating themselves while they walk in for a second term in the White House. So they're going to use the same strategy, which is divide and conquer. And they did what I thought they were going to do with Joe Biden, which is that they turned the impeachment trial into a trial against Joe Biden, and then spent days and days and days talking, so that people got so confused they thought that Joe Biden was the one being tried. And they did that to get rid of Joe Biden. And Joe Biden, I think, is now third in Iowa. So it was a successful tactic. They did what they wanted, and they're going to push to get a progressive in, because that's exactly what they want. They want that progressive in so that they can tear the progressive to shreds and have to slide into home in November. So what we can do to win is to stick to local issues, because that's what people care about. People care about their own homes, their own families, their own jobs, their own incomes, their own taxes, etc. To not be manipulated to be divided, no matter who the candidate is, like no drama Obama. If the candidate is Bernie Sanders, then we have to get 100% behind him. If the candidate is Amy Klobuchar or even Mike Bloomberg, we have to get behind even Mike Bloomberg, because Mike Bloomberg is going to be a million times better than the current administration. So divide and conquer, and not talking about local issues were the two main things. The third most powerful thing that will cost us the election, which I thought was kind of interesting, was if we get on Trump's level. I thought that that was really, really interesting, because when you look at it from an energetic perspective, going lower than the current president is exactly what people are sick of. And so to use that as an argument to replace him by being as horrible as he is really not much of an argument. What Americans want is a president that they can be proud of. And that represents our highest values as a nation. So people that are able to bring the country together, that have that aspect. Now, this is something that I saw when I did remotes last year for everybody. Amy Klobuchar came up very strong. She's female, but she doesn't bash men. She has a very strong, true grit kind of an attitude, the pioneering spirit. So does Elizabeth Warren. That's why I felt they would both do extremely well, and they would also take the female vote. I think Bernie has a really strong, I'm sorry, it's water time. I think Bernie has a really strong base, but I still don't see him making it. But those are just the three things that I saw when I did the remote. What can I do? In order to win was, number one, stick to issues that are affecting people's day-to-day life. Number two, be very skeptical of the divide and conquer tactic, anything you see on Facebook, and get 100% behind whoever the Democratic candidate is. And look out for them trying to get us to fight on the floor. The other thing of the DNC, the other thing that we need to be worried about is a campaign that goes on until July, like it did in 2016 with Bernie and Hillary Clinton. It just went on and on and on and on and on, with us eating ourselves, killing each other, while Trump just sailed right in. So those were the four things that I picked up in the remote. So a long, extended primary will be the death of us. And the other thing is that we have to focus on the Senate. And this is, it's important to take the Senate, because if we do take the Senate, then we can, if he does get reelected, we can remove him. I'm ready to go ahead and do the blitzes. Sorry about the cat situation. I know you're all going to put a down sign and say, annoying because you talk to people and the cat was jumping up. This is live. I got a cat. Sorry. Hello, Mila. She didn't get to play today, so she thinks now it's playtime. So I'm just going to look at the trial. It's interesting. I thought that they were going to have witnesses, because the energy was such that they were starting to, you go into the remote and you put yourself in the shoes. You put yourself in the shoes of the Republicans who were sitting during the trial. And I actually invited people to go ahead and give it a try, where you put yourself in the shoes of a GOP senator listening to arguments against the president and see how you feel. And it was nausea, fear, anxiety, etc. Which is why I really felt when I sat in those shoes like I was between a rock and a hard place. So I'm going to go ahead and just look at the general energy for the nation. We have the Iowa caucus tomorrow. Yes, hello. She really wants to play. And yes, why don't you go take a nappy? And we have the President's State of the Union. So let's go ahead and do it. Oh, now she's settling down. She wanted her presence known. She does that to let us know who's really in charge. Thank you, Bazo. The energy of the nation. Yeah, I just want to look at the energy of the nation, and then we have something like 100 questions. I won't be able to get to all of them, but I'm going to do my best. And if you want to pray with me, you can, because most of us know the prayers. I want to call on white light protection for myself and my viewers as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, for the planet, for the people we love, and even to help those we have strife with. And together, let us say, Amen. We're going in. Yeah, they're going to shut it down. You can see here 4 of Swords moving in with a 2 of Swords. They want this impeachment behind them. It's as if hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. It never happened. It's as if as far as they're concerned, it's a kind of psychological defense where let's all pretend it's somebody called it cognitive dissonance. Is that correct? Where we all pretend that daddy doesn't have a drinking problem, or we all pretend that reality isn't real. It's this psychological ability when things are overwhelming or are difficult or horrific that we completely shut down and we put it in the grave. So I think what we're looking at is that they want this dead and buried and gone so that they can become a force to be reckoned with for the 2020 campaign. So they're not going to be fighting amongst themselves like we are. We're starting the race 6 months late. They've got a 6-month head start. That already puts them at an advantage. That means they get to control the message, put out their united front months ahead of us while we're scrambling trying to figure out who is going to be running against this president. And so that in and of itself puts us at a disadvantage, but you can see the 4 of Swords and the 2 of Swords moving in. So they're not interested. It's all about re-election. It's not about the Constitution. It's not about right or wrong. It's about winning. Where we are at right now, the karmic wheel is turning. So regardless of what they do, for every action, there's a reaction of equal or greater force. So whether people are doing, there are consequences for the things that they have done. There are consequences for the things that we collectively as a nation have done, and those consequences are churning. There's a karmic wheel, a karmic response to that, and it results in grief. It goes back to the remote. What are our values and what is our higher self and what are our best angels, our good angels? We cannot fight fire with fire. It can't be that you're having an argument with a 5-year-old and he says, you have a duty face. No, you have a duty face. That's not going to help us win the campaign. The campaign is to carry ourselves like adults and be the better person. And the contrast between the emotionally temperamental child is more likely going to win the argument than if we start using the same tactics as the Republicans are using. There's a new beginning, something happening in spring of 2020 that keeps coming up that seems to shift the karmic wheel to some extent. And there's something about a crash that's brewing. So it's as if this president and this administration has been covering things up, and the foundation is like a deck of cards. It's like a house made of cards, and the house of cards is beginning to collapse. And that seems to have something to do with a timeline of around spring 2020. It has to do with something about keeping things open, some kind of open information. You can see the high priestess coming in and then the world. So there's a new beginning coming in around spring of 2020. It seems to have a global significance. And there's something about a brewing here with the tower in the 3rd house that indicates that whatever they were attempting to cover up, they may not be able to cover it up for much longer, because I'm not seeing a solid base here in the 3rd house. Confusion, people got confused. By acknowledging that the president did something wrong, but it's not impeachable, they can rewrite the story to convince people that there's no need for witnesses because we already know he did it, but it's no big deal. The main issues going forward in 2020 into spring of 2020 are going to be environmental issues. We could see flooding, rising waters. There's a 7 of Wands, which is the environmental impact card. He's also between the waters. I often see this card as floods, putting up dams or attempting to defend the waters, contamination, environmental issues, things that impact the environment, anything from hurricanes to floods to storms. It could be a virus if we're worried about the coronavirus. We know that that's having an economic impact on things, but there seems to be something that occurs around spring of 2020 that shakes up the government to some extent. And again, we see this kind of confusion happening and unity in the nation. There's this attempt at unity. But I think there's going to be some confusion before we get there with the 7 of Cups. Exposing this president's corruption is not going to be enough, because minimizing, trivializing, and discarding is the motto of the malignant narcissist. Anybody who's been a victim of the malignant narcissist knows that how they get away with it is by minimizing and trivializing it and then discarding it. Usually the victim is a female or somebody vulnerable, and by convincing people that the victim is somehow less human than the rest of us, it makes the abuse more tolerable. Goes back to what the Anatomy of Evil. If anybody has studied The Anatomy of Evil by Hannah Arendt, you make the enemy subhuman, and then it's easier to destroy them. So that's basically the tactic that the GOP is using. They are attempting to minimize, trivialize, and then they can discard the impeachment as not real. And it's done with such confidence because narcissists present as such unquestionable faith in themselves that it's like a hypnosis takes over and people begin to believe them. That's the power of malignant narcissism. So I just want to check now on Donald Trump to see how this stuff that's coming out is going to be affecting his campaign. And then I'm going to look at Barr because I think Barr's in trouble. How is Donald Trump's campaign doing? Whether you like him or not, his campaigns were his campaigns were really good during the Super Bowl. I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but I saw some of the commercials, and it was scary how good they were. Very organized, very polished, very clean. More documents coming out. The Queen of Swords is moving in. So there seems to be a woman possibly an air sign female associated with this, but you can see here the High Priestess also moving in. So we're going to see more legal cases happening, more exposés coming out. Regardless of how they spin it with the GOP, the court cases are still happening. The prosecutions are still happening. The legal issues are still happening. They can't spin that. As more and more people associated with this president go to prison, justice is still moving forward. The peacekeeper comes in. Victory in 6 months. There's something about hidden money. You can see here the Devil card and the Page of Pentacles, which can be messages, hidden messages of coin. They're exposing more dark money. He thinks that he's going to win. He thinks he's going to win, and he thinks that he can openly now take money and bribes, and that the Republicans are with him on this. Taking the Senate could help with this if we can take the Senate. He may try the other tactic, which is to try and create, he might try and create relationships with people that are blue dogs and try and actually split the Democratic Party. There's an attempt here by him to split the Democratic Party. I want to take a look at Nancy Pelosi's cards because I want to see if she is going to impeach Barr. This here. It's interesting. Thank you to everyone who's donating to the chat. I have not had time to say thank you to everybody. Sorry. Just want to get into, I just want to try and figure out what Pelosi is up to. Sometimes you don't get what you want, but you get what you need. So whoever the candidate is, even if it's Michael Bloomberg, I'm going to start supporting that candidate. I can't find it, so I'm just going to. This is really weird. All right. What is Nancy Pelosi's plans? She says she's weeping for the country when you go into the remote. Like she's weeping for the Constitution, for the country. It's a real feeling of grief in the House. And you really feel like Mitch McConnell has become very cocky, like he can see the win. The win is just in reach. Another 4 years of Trump. That they're going to take, that the SCOTUS is within their reach, that now they just have to preserve the Senate, that Trump is going to sail in. Like Mitch McConnell feels very confident that he has created a shambles of the Democratic Party, that we're going to eat each other and fight and scream and waste all of our energy hurting one another, an extended primary, and they are just going to sail into victory. That's what they're really convinced that they're going to be able to take the courts, take the Senate, and they're even think that they can take the House at this point. So McConnell is feeling very, very good. A light step, like we did this, like we're gonna pull this off. All right, let me look at. He's got a very strange relationship with Nancy Pelosi. She's very concerned about foreign relationships, karma, 3 of Wands. She keeps looking at security, international relations, anxiety and fear about what's happening internationally. She's got another trip planned, possibly overseas as well, to strengthen alliances. You can see the 2 of Wands alliances and a travel card with a chariot, karma, and 3 of Wands waiting for her ship to come in, possibly showing international relationships. What is above her? Another tower is coming. There's another expose coming. Something very big is coming that she's working on. She keeps offering a resignation or some kind of opportunity for the president to resign. She's actually holding something pretty powerful. She has not shown her cards entirely. You can see the tower in the 4th house. She's exposing dark money. You can see the Page of Pentacles, which was the dark money in the previous throw, is coming, and then there's a tower there. So they could get out. The only way that they could get out of this is by saying that basically it's legal to take money from a foreign government. But at this point, the expose is about exposure of the money. Yeah, research. She's in research mode. The Master's card. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to see it. Hopes and fears, new beginning. The final outcome, going into smoother waters. The great irony here is that we're seeing more cooperation from William Barr. Something's going to happen, or is already happening, where some crimes were committed or something happened that possibly has William Barr quietly cooperating almost. It's very strange. Isn't that weird? It's like I go into the remote and it's almost like there's she's getting secret assistance from the other side. It's very strange. I got to find out what that is. So I got to look at Barr now to find out why that came up. Isn't that weird? Strange, 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 strange times we live in. All right, what's going on with William Barr? Is he going to be impeached or removed? What's the plan with Barr? Just want to look at his fate. Something is scaring them. There's just this fear. William Barr has fear. The Republicans have fear. There's this impending fear. Four of Wands and the Ten of Cups, they're in a honeymoon phase right now. He's hanging something up. Look at this. Hanging something up regarding, and he's feeling cornered. The Thief's card attempts to flee. Karmic Wheel. The Death card. Something has happened. Some kind of criminal activity that could, I think that Barr could leave, because you see the fleeing card and you also see the Thief's card and then the Death card moving in for him, but you also see hanging it up in a Nine of Wands. So a defensive posture. The truth is coming out regarding alliances. Something's being exposed. Boy, I see the FBI all over the place. It's interesting. I don't, more than any branch, when you go into the remotes, it's the FBI that seems to just methodically be going along doing investigations, showing evidence, showing information. I think that Barr is in a situation where he has no choice but to cooperate with this investigation, and possibly he will be forced out, and the Hierophant wins again, which is the Constitution. Interesting, right? It always comes out with the Constitution. All right. So, more stuff is coming out, more corruption is coming out, but exposing the corruption will not be enough to win the presidency. We have to have, basically what they're saying is we have to end the primary early, not fight amongst ourselves, and get 110% behind whoever the person is, and get organized, because it's an uphill battle for the Democrats. But while all that's going on, there's some major exposés happening about corruption, dark money. It's interesting that a couple of years ago when we started this channel and we were looking at Robert Mueller, it came out that he was following the dark money all the way to DC, and also that the real investigation was not Donald Trump, it was leaks inside the intelligence agencies. And in fact, a lot of the arrest and a lot of the prosecutions were focused on leaks inside the intelligence agencies and people who had been compromised inside the intelligence agencies. Like Michael Flynn, now Joshua Schultz, I believe his name is, who's facing charges. I think he's going into court either today or tomorrow. Julian Assange, reality winner, a lot of the people that were part of that, Snowden, wound up being caught. And I believe we did a remote last week that showed that the British did get They did capture and interrogate, what's his name? God, my mind is just toast from this. Julian Assange. And I think we had a full confession from Julian Assange. It showed in the remote, and that actually they had gotten documents about basically the scheme had happened. So I was asked, will this be declared a mistrial? I'm just going through everybody's questions one by one. Will it be declared a mistrial? Let's find out. Lots of questions. Will be declared a mistrial. Yeah, they're investigating money streams. It was always about the money streams. And the main people that are investigating it are the FBI. The money. That's the expose. Dark money in DC. They're so good at manipulating things, the GOP, that they almost want the Democrats to keep scrambling with this stuff because it's less time we spend getting organized fighting this president. It's almost like Catch the Mouse, where they're constantly running and hiding, and we're chasing after them while they're building this army. And it's another form of they're turning it into another distraction, just like they turned the Senate trial into destroying Joe Biden's chances of winning. This is these exposés are going to happen, but that's not the focus. The focus, the campaigns we run have to be separate from this. Because you still have the FBI, you still have the intelligence agencies doing this, doing these investigations, but it does not change the impact of the election as much as people think. What the biggest impact to this election is environmental impact, economic impacts, flooding, several potential environmental emergencies happening at once. And if the Democrats can continue to expose the economic disparities in the country, the rising homelessness, the number of seniors that are living in their cars, and readdress the myth of the good economy, then we would win the election. It's almost as if Spirit is saying, let the police handle this and focus instead on addressing the issues that are concerning people because of this aspect where it seems to be like justice is churning very slowly. And we could see a noticeable split between Barr and President Trump. Because there's also this feeling that Barr has become frightened of the FBI himself in terms of snooping about, finding information, and trying to remove himself from it. He will not he will not completely suppress his information. He doesn't want to be in a situation where he himself is talking with the FBI. That seems to be what we're getting from Spirit. Focus on local issues. These things, this is not what's going to get us out of this mess. But the FBI is going to continue to, we have to talk about it and expose it. But the main thing that affects this presidency is exposing the failing infrastructure, environmental disasters, economic disasters, that sort of thing. All right, so I was asked about the Iowa caucus and to throw on the candidates. So I'm going to do Bernie Sanders first because he's doing very well. How is Bernie Sanders doing? It's always an uphill battle for the new person coming in because they already have their infrastructure set up, and what cost Hillary was they already had their candidate, and we didn't have our candidate until July. So they had months and months and months where they were ahead of the race. And, oh, thank you, Janine. Very sweet of you. And if that happens again, if this race extends until July, it could potentially cost us the election. It would be nice if it was over by Super Tuesday. I mean, like, just where we had a really good idea of who was the top contenders as soon as possible. That would be our best chance. Yeah, they picked Trump. They went with Trump. They started his campaign early. They got organized. They minimized, trivialized, and discarded their victims. They rewrote history. They are using Russian talking points to control the propaganda. They know who their audience is. They are using computer systems to figure out where the vulnerable districts are. And we are fighting up until July, figuring out what we're doing. And then we start a campaign after that, we're going to be in pretty serious trouble. That's the concern. All right, let's look at Bernie Sanders. How is he going to do in Iowa? Very stubborn guy. You know, it's interesting. He often comes as very stubborn, somebody who he has his ideas of right and wrong. He's very black and white about it. Like, this is right, this is wrong. It's not going to change. His refusal to compromise at all has been one of the reasons why people like him, but it's also a reason why he may have problems in the future. What would Paul Simon do? He would sing a beautiful song and talk about love. Ace of Cups. The person that wins is going to be able to compromise and to reach across the aisle, and that's a problem with it's something that's seen as a weakness in his campaign. This refusal to give in, this refusal to compromise at all. You can see really puts him in a vulnerable situation with the Eight of Swords, being tied up by his refusal to take the offer, Page of Swords, and a Hanged Man, walking away. Klobuchar does well. Warren does well. It's the women that do really well. I would not be surprised if Biden still pulled it off, but but I'm not sure. I want to just check on Biden. God, boy, the Senate, what they did to Biden, friendships that were so old. Well, thank you, Lisa. Very sweet of you. I just want to access Biden's records and see how Biden does, because, God, they have really, they have destroyed this relationship. Okay, I'm going to make him the King of Cups. How is Uncle Biden doing? How is Biden doing in Iowa? How is Biden doing in Iowa? Can somebody check what the birthday of Amy Klobuchar is while I'm doing this? Thanks. How's Biden doing? He's going to get a lot more support. There's more support that's coming in. There was I know there was a dip in support, but we have a nice Empress card moving in. The Four of Cups is also moving in, so he's also got similar challenges to in terms of how he wants to run his campaign. He's running his campaign the old-fashioned way, and people are telling him it won't work anymore. This nice guy. And he's refusing to change his ways. His refusal to beat Trump at his game. He's really the old-fashioned nice guy politician. That seems to be his challenge. He doesn't want to. He's seriously thinking of leaving the party early and getting behind somebody who's a blue dog like Klobuchar. He may leave. You can see the Knight of Pentacles moving in and the Hanged Man. He's seriously thinking of walking away, putting an end to this, and then backing somebody else. Damn, they really beat him to shreds. I think he may leave. I think we could see Biden stepping down and possibly endorsing somebody like Klobuchar. Look at this. And look at this attack, how he's getting attacked. And look at this, the Flim Flam Man right over him, ending. And Hanged Man. He's seriously considering pulling out of the race early so that we can pick a contender that can win. He's very aware of the fact that this primary shouldn't go on for a long time. If he doesn't win in Iowa, if it doesn't look like he's going to win in New Hampshire, we could see him quitting pretty early on. That's very surprising to me. I didn't expect that. Amy is a Gemini. Thank you. May 25th. Thank you. That would explain why I saw the Queen of Swords, which is the air sign female. Can you guys believe those cards? I didn't expect that. Well, I did, because when we followed the energy last year, I didn't see Biden making it, but I didn't see Bernie making it either. I saw a woman making it. I saw good cards for Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren. You know, we may see a 2-female ticket. Klobuchar has that good energy, like true grit, salt of the earth. She's the kind of a woman that doesn't go to war with women. She doesn't go to war with men. She can work alongside men. She's not sexist, which is a good thing. You don't want a female sexist. You don't want a male sexist. You want somebody who is gets along with everybody and works hard. That true grit kind of energy that she has. All right, let's look at the future of Amy Klobuchar and the in Iowa. She's such a strong candidate. I can see her picking Buttigieg also. But I think Buttigieg should stay in Indiana. Okay. Boy, they like her in Iowa. Ready to fight, 7 of Wands, defending the land, and there's a new contract here. She could be offered a position in the White House. That's pretty significant. If she doesn't win the presidency, she could be on the ticket. She's a fighter, man. What's over her? Move traveling. So I know she's going back to Iowa tonight. Ace of Cups is there over her. She pulled double aces. Straight up. She could work out a deal with Biden. There's talk going on that Biden could choose to resign early and throw his hat in with Klobuchar. Old alliances are returning to her, and the sword of victory is in her 4th house. Her cards are excellent. And you can see pushing through in her base a contract. Where she's at right now, the Tower, because she's right in the middle of the impeachments. What is around her? Communication by air, and final outcome, Moon. There's a lot of confusion and chaos right now with her cards, but boy, she pulled double aces with an ace of sword in the 4th house. And there's some strong woman here, fire sign with her. Boy, she is very strong. She is very strong. Boy, those are excellent cards. I don't like the Moon card though, because it could show that they attempt to sabotage her candidacy. Amy's a very strong candidate. Okay, does anybody know Elizabeth Warren's birthday? Stacey Abrams is fire? Oh, she'd win. If it was her and Stacey Abrams, they would win. Buttigieg looks like a deer in the headlights. Maybe. Kamala Harris, I don't know if that would be good. We don't want to lose 2 senators in the Senate. Let's look at, what sign is Elizabeth Warren? Does anybody know? June 22nd. So she's right on the cusp, right? Is she water? Is she a Cancer? Yeah. Oh, that's in her 3rd house. Elizabeth Warren has said some strange things, though. I don't know. All right, what's going to be with Elizabeth Warren? Is she going to win Iowa? So that's interesting. So basically Biden is going to throw in the towel if he doesn't win in the next couple of races. And he's going to get behind a blue dog ticket like Klobuchar or Biden or Bloomberg. That seems to be where he's headed. Warren. She had such good energy, and it's really not been good lately. Very strong. You can see 9 of Pentacles and the 4 of Wands moving in. Good job. What is over her? The Tower. Something is going on in DC, man. Everybody that's at the Senate right now is getting the Tower. You see that? More revelations. She's strong. She's a strong candidate. We could be seeing a female ticket. Her and Klobuchar, I know, have been endorsed by, received a number of endorsements. She's got the Power card in her 3rd house, 3 of Cups in the 4th, alliances, and the Ace of Swords comes in the near future. Her and Klobuchar both have very strong cards. Conflicts, but education as well, knowledge. The final outcome, the emerging Queen of Wands. There's some fire sign female that keeps coming up for both these women. Both she and Klobuchar have the strongest cards. I think we can all see that. And then here, the Queen of Swords. Klobuchar. Klobuchar, you know what? It's the time of women. It's talking about 3 powerful women. We could see something remarkable happen where this is the time of women, where we see a VP, a president, and an AG that are all female. The closest way for me to interpret this card, as crazy as it sounds with this card chart, is that this is the time where women will be victorious. You can see the 3 of Cups moving in with an Ace of Swords, and we keep getting this Queen of Wands showing up, and then there's Klobuchar. The women will do very well. Do not underestimate the power of the female candidates. It will actually work to their favor. Women, 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 women. Not that we don't love Bernie. We do. But none of the men were as strong as the women. They just weren't. Sorry. Okay, so we were asked to look at the economy in 2020. Let's go ahead and do that. Dang. Maybe there's no men. Maybe it's just going to be, yeah, it's either going to be Warren, Stacey Abrams, Klobuchar, Stacey Abrams. I could see Adam Schiff as the AG. I don't know if I would want to lose all of these Democratic senators, though, which is why I'd be more likely to put Adam Schiff as Attorney General than to pull another person out of the Senate. How's the economy for 2020? It's the year of the woman. As crazy as that sounds, that's what the cards say. Yeah, but then we lose Kamala Harris. Nancy Pelosi is the Queen of Wands. That's correct. A lot of people do feel that Adam Schiff should be the AG in a Democratic, because his seat is Los Angeles, so we can afford to lose him in LA because it's a strong Democratic. A Republican's not going to win. He's my district. West Hollywood. He's a vegan track runner. We can afford to lose him in the House, and if he becomes AG. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, we really need her to stay in the Senate. That could be Yeah, but California has some conservative ties as well. Remember, Ronald Reagan was also from California. All right. The economy. Everybody having fun? Objectively, that's the best way for me to read those cards. Women, it's the year of the woman. How will the economy be? Man, those women's cards were excellent. Boy, that makes me happy. Almost makes it worth it. Almost. The sun is coming out, and there's the King of Cups moving in. Something about information being released that could potentially have an impact on the economy. Yeah, that's right. Because you can see here, the High Priestess coming in with the Nine of Wands. Yeah. Some information is coming out. It could be also court cases with the Emperor here and the High Priestess, both of which have legal aspects to them. But you can see the Ten of Swords moving in. There's an Ace of Swords. It could take some hits, but it looks like by fall it's probably going to be okay. Ten of Pentacles, strong with a nice Page of Wands moving in. Hopes and fears. It's tied to the international economy. There could be some playing with the market that gets exposed with the Two of Wands as the outcome. And that could shake things up. But it looks like it actually can be potentially pretty strong after that. So it drops potentially in the spring and then picks up again by winter of 2020, because you can see this is a retirement card, harvesting the coin. Also, it's a green capital. It's another card that I associate with green capitalism, harvesting money from the trees. So I know with the coronavirus, which I'll go ahead and throw on that next, there were some concerns that the market was being manipulated, that the coronavirus is not that bad, that there are there's fake stuff going on YouTube that's having a negative impact on the Chinese market. It's interesting. I've watched a lot of stuff about the coronavirus. I've seen a lot of the fear-mongering is, in fact, from the more conservative news media, which is interesting. And then when you watch it, they'll say, yes, the coronavirus is bad, it's terrible here, and then they'll start attacking the Communist Party. So that just stuck out to me like, is this real or is this marketing? And then I saw another woman talking from Wuhan who was just talking honestly and said, yeah, it's bad like any flu, but if you have a strong immune system, you'll probably be okay. And so you don't know what to believe. Flus can be deadly if you have a compromised immune system, if you are elderly. So I just want to see reality versus fiction. They say that the flu that's already here is worse than the coronavirus. So I'm just going to ask generically about the flu season this year. Coronavirus and the flu season this year. What's going on with the coronavirus and the flu season this year? We could see a problem. It could reach its peak by spring of 2020, in the next couple of months. And you can see the Four of Swords there, which could potentially be a bad omen. Like I said, wash hands, etc. They're already working on a vaccine, which is what I also picked up. If they've already got the genetics, if they've already isolated the virus, they could potentially put out a vaccine relatively quickly. But what happens with these viruses is that sometimes they'll become more virulent, sometimes they'll become less virulent as they jump from host to host, like in the case of SARS. But the fact that there's a hermit card here shows that scientists are definitely working on isolating the genome and coming up with vaccines. It's happening very, very, very quickly. Exchange of ideas, schooling and education, particularly if you have something like a hermit card with a Five of Wands. And then there's the healer's card coming in. I think they're going to come up with a vaccine. I don't see it being quite as horrible. It looks like it's not going to be as bad as people think. Yeah. And a vaccine's going to happen very, very quickly, like really quickly. So I don't know how that's going to get approved as fast as it needs to be approved. But the fact that there's a Six of Pentacles moving in, the fact that there's a scholarship card here, the healer is in the 4th house. I'm not seeing, by spring of 2020, it will probably reach its peak, and then we will see some types of measures coming in that look like they're probably medical measures that address the problem. That's the best way for me to interpret this. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. My legs are cramping because I've been here for over an hour. Somebody had asked if we could do Trump's cards and see about if he's going to seek revenge. That's interesting. You know, what's interesting about these cards was it was all about female power, if we can get the female vote, if we can come together and start to support female energy, not in a misogynist way, not in a sexist way, but just because they're the better candidates, that could be quite an amazing win. Chauvinism, that's the word I was looking for. We don't want chauvinism. All right, Trump revenge. Every time I want to like complain about men, then I think about Adam Schiff and I think, oh, come on. There's some good men out there. The Spanish flu, which was the swine flu, I did a paper on it for med school. 60 million people died. Mostly young people. It was spread very rapidly in the barracks, Spanish barracks. I don't think it was 1916. I believe it was 1918. It was during World War I. The good ones are all taken? I don't know. Michael's a good guy. He's in Australia. Anybody who's single in Australia? I couldn't afford to move. Okay. Is Trump going to take revenge? Troll slayers. Trump's revenge. That's what this is. Truth coming out and heartbreak. Boy, he's like a child that this is like a 5-year-old crying in his cornflakes. Truth comes out. This is not revenge energy. This is crying, heartbreak. The truth comes out. Is it possible? Where he is at. This is somebody who's having increasing mental confusion. You can see the moon card there. Exposure, something. It keeps, look at this. Something's coming out. Hidden information. He's back on the defensive with cards like this. Interesting. He's attempting to build his power in the United States and then build new alliances with foreign nations. Wands. Yeah, I think his goal is to create a new relationship between the United States and Russia and some of these countries that we have not had good relationships with. And I think that that's where he's attempting. He sees Nancy Pelosi and these constant investigations as like a gnat, something that annoys him. These are not cards of revenge. These are cards of somebody that's focused on strength. He's very confident that he can win re-election, and he's somebody that's interested in. He's looking overseas to other oligarchs in other countries to create strong alliances. That's where his mind is at. He's already moving on to building these strong oligarchs, these strong alliances with other oligarchs, and he thinks it will ultimately be better for him financially too. But he's starting to see Pelosi as a gnat. He's starting to see them as weak, that they're easy to defeat. Never underestimate the power of women. Okay. I think we're going to finish up. I'll do a quick throw on E. Jean Carroll and see what happens. Oh, the State of the Union. Okay, we'll do the State of the Union, and then we'll do E. Jean Carroll, and then we're done. All right, how will the State of the Union go? How will the State of the Union go? to the union. The Constitution and the Four of Wands, or higher self and the Four of Wands, hanging up something. There's a real feeling from the Senate and from the Republicans that they want this done, this impeachment, and that they just want to bury it under the rug as if it never happened. It's crazy how they're able to control the narrative. Moving on. Justice. Ace of Pentacles. Two of Cups. He's going to be encouraged to be the peacemaker. They're telling him to not be vindictive, that if he wants to win re-election, he's going to have to be gracious. So he's going to attempt to be gracious. Because they're saying being gracious and reaching across the aisle is if he does that, he'll do very well for himself. I'm not seeing a lot of vindictive energy here. I think he's going to try and stick to script as best he can with these types of cards. But he looks at Pelosi as something he's moving on from. There's a feeling in his mind that she has been defeated. That this is the new future of DC. But it doesn't surprise me because he's a malignant narcissist, and malignant narcissists create their own reality. Doesn't mean it's real. It means it's real in their minds. All right, we're going to look at E. Jean Carroll because there's this potential for women to take control. It's interesting, you know. We went into the remotes a couple of years ago on Mitch McConnell, that he had to do the right thing, that he had to kill the beast, that he had no other choice. If he was going to do the right thing, he was going to have to kill the beast, and he chose to do the wrong thing. It kind of makes me feel like Spirit or God or our good angels, our higher selves, were given multiple opportunities to do the right thing. And unfortunately, in the case of Mitch McConnell, he was given dozens of opportunities. So the Republicans were to do the noble thing, do the right thing, and they chose not to. And so there are accumulated consequences of that. And I think that a lot of people in the Senate, a lot of the Democrats see the higher purpose, and I think that it's going to create a very interesting campaign. All right, E. Jean Carroll. But boy, Klobuchar is really building. Those cards were incredible. E. Jean Carroll in the dress. Wow, 3 powerful women. Interesting. She's going to get blocked. They're going to attempt to block or suppress this. This is something that could be preserved and come out later, but I don't necessarily see it happening now. You can see the Knight of Wands is there, but there's a star card. I keep seeing something happening in spring. We're going to start dumping stuff in spring, but no, I don't see this, anything happening with this right now. In the future, possibly, but right now, no. There's some real blocks here you can see. Springtime, maybe this will be revisited. So real feeling of getting women out to vote, getting strong. The women are coming into their power. The women are coming forward. We're going to be hit by this really strong female energy around spring of 2020. All right, everybody. That was fun. Hope everybody had a good time. Okay, E. Jean Carroll, yes. Did everybody have a good time? So we have to choose a candidate quick. We have to all get behind them. No drama. Even we might not get everything we want, but anything is better than what we have. And when they go low, we should not go lower. Those were the messages from Spirit. And if we do all of that and we refuse to be played and manipulated, then we can beat this president. Stick to the issues that are affecting people directly. Thanks, everyone. Love and light. If you're still trying to get in for a reading this week, either by phone or you can come into my offices here in Los Angeles. You can go to tarotwithwhimsy.com. For people that ordered the herbal teas, I have shipped them out. I'll do another shipping. And I want to talk briefly before we get offline about one way to make the teas that I mailed you even stronger. And I've started to do this. So if you have bought tea from me and you want to find out how to make it stronger, what I've started to do is I've started to boil the tea the traditional Chinese way. I was asked, would it destroy the active constituents? No, the beta-glucans, which are the immune aspects of the tea that are found in the reishi and in the mushrooms that are part of this tea, actually become activated in heat. So what you would do is when you get it's about 4 to 5 ounces of tea, but it's very, very strong. If you soak it for 10 minutes in hot water, you're going to have a strong tea. If you want it to be 10 times strong, well, a lot stronger, what you would do is you would take approximately a quarter of the bag and put it in a quart of water. Bring it to a boil with a lid and then have it low boil for about 10 to 20 minutes. I put it in I wrap it in cheesecloth, or but you don't have to. You can sift it afterwards. So you put the herbs on a low boil for 10 to 20 minutes and then turn it off and let it sit for 20 minutes. And what you'll get is you'll get a really thick black tea. Sift that. It's about a quart. You'll do about a quart to a quarter of the bag. And then pour 1/4 of a cup of that mixture with some 3/4 of a cup of hot water or cold water, and that's your tea. So that's your tea essence, and you can keep it in the fridge. And then, because the higher temperature you cook it at, and if you're cooking it for 10 to 20 minutes on the stove, and then letting it sit for another 20 minutes, and then sifting it through the sieve or, however you want to do it, that is your mother tincture. That's your mother tincture, or that's your mother tea. Keep that in the fridge. You only need 1/4 of a cup and then boiling water to make a strong cup, and then you can have 2 to 3 cups a day. That would be the ideal way to drink this tea. just because steeping it in 10 minutes is still going to be somewhat effective, but it's going to be more effective if you do have it on a low boil for 10 to 20 minutes. If you do need to get some tea, again, or if you'd like to make the tea, we're doing a tea to help strengthen the immune system. It's Reishi, Chaga, Astragalus, Elderberry, flower and berry, Pau di Arco, which is a very strong antimicrobial, Echinacea, Goldenseal, a little chamomile for taste. And yeah, so just remember my advice if you really want this tea to be really, really strong. I made some last night, and it was just this beautiful pitch black. And then when I poured the 3/4 of a cup of hot water into the 1/4, it actually tasted quite pleasant. It wasn't too bad. All right, if you're still trying to get into a reading, you can go to tarotwithwhimsy.com. Love and light. And we'll see everybody next time. Take care. Thanks, everyone, for the support. Bye.